My selected designer from the 1944 to 1956 What is Good Design exhibition, curated by the Museum of Modern Art, is Earl Silas Tupper. Tupper was born in the city of Berlin, New Hampshire, United States, on the 28th of July, 1907. He studied at Bryant University in Rhode Island, United States. Being an only child, Tupper first started off helping his parents, Ernest and Lulu Tupper. His father managed the family farm, while his mother made a living by providing a laundry service for neighbors and also running a boarding house on the side. Maintaining the family farm, Ernest would play around with inventions to make farm work less labor-intensive. Inspired by his father's innovation, Earl would go on to develop a love for invention. Some of his earlier designs would include a fish-powered boat, a variety of cones, and a drip-proof ice cream cone. In 1925, Tupper graduated from Fitchburg High School at the age of 18. He was determined to become a successful businessman and aimed to make his first million by the age of 30. He started off doing odd jobs such as being a mail clerk and working as a railway laborer. On the side, he took courses in tree surgery. Confident in his newly found skills as a tree doctor, Tupper decided to form his own landscaping business, Tupper Tree Doctors. While this venture was moderately successful, he was forced into bankruptcy by 1936 during the Great Depression. Later that year, he met Bernard Doyle. Doyle was the inventor of viscoloid plastic and worked in the plastic manufacturing division of DuPont, Leominster, Massachusetts. Tupper was able to secure a job at DuPont for a year. During his employment, his fascination with the potential of plastics grew. This led him to eventually leave DuPont and start his own company, the Earl S. Tupper Company, in 1938. Tupper's experiments with plastics then came into fruition. He would ask DuPont for polyethylene slag, a black, hard, putrid, and unworkable byproduct left over from the oil refining process. With the knowledge he gained from working at DuPont, he was able to refine and clean the slag to create what he called poly-T. Poly-T was a white, translucent, flexible plastic that was lightweight, odorless, and non-toxic. After obtaining a subcontract with DuPont, the Earl S. Tupper Company made its money by producing equipment for the U.S. Navy during World War II. These items included molded parts for gas masks and signal lamps. After World War II, Tupper focused on creating products for the post-war consumer market. Initially, the company began making drinking tumblers, sandwich storage packs, and cigarette cases. He eventually moved on to creating kitchenware that centered around storing food in a way that was airtight, thus preventing odors from entering and exiting the container. In turn, this would mean that the food's freshness would be maintained for longer. The food containers were eventually dubbed as Tupperware. However, due to the unknown nature of plastic amongst the masses at the time, sales of Tupperware were appalling. Tupper approached private household product company Stanley Home Products. After discussion regarding the marketing and distribution of Tupperware products took place, saleswoman Brownie Wise suggested to use an in-home selling strategy to sell his products to the masses. The decision to directly sell Tupperware products firsthand and pulling them from the stores was a lucrative move for the business. This meant that demonstrations of how to use Tupperware could take place and any questions regarding the product could be answered. While this method proved to be successful, over time, disagreements between Tupper and Wise, who at the time held the position of vice president in Tupperware house parties, resulted in him firing her. Tupper went on to retire at the age of 51 in 1958. He sold his company to Rexall Drug Company for $16 million and divorced his wife of 27 years. He bought an island and relocated to Costa Rica. In 1983, he died of a heart attack. One of Tupper's designs that made its way into the MoMA What is Good Design exhibition was his 1954 Tupperware tumblers. They allowed customers to store beverages and other food items in cylindrical plastic containers. The tumblers would come with lids, which meant the design was waterproof, odorless, and airtight. They were designed to be stackable and stored in refrigerators, thus intended to preserve the freshness of foods and other beverages for longer periods of time. To determine whether or not Tupper's tumblers are good design, we could put them up against Theodore Ramsay's principles. Ramsay's ideology behind what constituted as good design was made to distinguish effective design from what he considered to be an impenetrable confusion of forms, colors, and noises. I'll be using 5 of Ramsay's design principles to evaluate the extent to which Tupper's Tupperware tumblers are considered to be good design. Good design makes a product useful. Good design emphasizes the usefulness of a product whilst disregarding anything that could possibly detract from it. The use of a polyethylene plastic highlights the sense of usefulness of the product. It is waterproof, odorless, and durable. The translucent nature of the plastic means that the user is able to see the contents within the container. On top of that, the included lid allows food items and beverages to be kept in a safe and sealed environment. Good design is as little design as possible. Less is better, because it concentrates on the essential aspects, and the products are not burdened with non-essentials. The purpose of the design is clear and to the point. Its minimalistic cylindrical form and its waterproof lid indicate to the user that its intended use is to store food and beverages in a way that prolongs its freshness. It doesn't try to be anything else, nor does the design include any excessive features that may misguide the user. Good design is unobtrusive. Products fulfilling a purpose are like tools. They are neither decorative objects nor works of art. The sleek, minimalistic approach to the design works in tandem with the transparency of the tumblers. Its plain and see-through appearance means that the design doesn't overpower the contents inside. It leaves room for the consumer's self-expression, as they're free to use the tumblers for whatever they may choose. Good design is environmentally friendly. Design makes an important contribution to the preservation of the environment. The plastic used to produce the tumblers is recycled from a polyethylene slag left over from the oil refining process. Its level of durability prevents users from frequently throwing away cups or containers. Furthermore, this increases the level of reusability of the product, reducing the amount of waste being produced in the long run. Good design is long-lasting. It avoids being fashionable and therefore never appears antiquated. Unlike fashionable design, it lasts many years. The longevity of the product really solidifies the idea that Tupper's Tupperware tumblers are good design. The timeless and simplistic design makes the product functional and effective in its purpose. Over 60 years later, Tupperware tumblers are still used and available to this day. This is a true mark of good design, as it is able to stand the test of time yet still remain relevant and useful. Based on the research I did on Tupper's life as a designer, there are a few things I have learned and hope to include in my own practices in the future. One of the main things I want to take away from Tupper's work is his use of timeless and simplistic design. While I have tried to include some of this in my works in the past, I have yet to be able to execute it with much success. I tend to focus too much on trying to create overly intricate designs, which result in the initial communication being lost or dated. Another thing I want to improve on after studying Tupper's work would be my contribution to the environment. While I like to experiment with different materials, mediums, and methods when working, I don't put too much thought into the carbon footprint I leave behind. In the future, I hope to rectify this through the research and use of environmentally friendly materials, mediums, and methods.